clothes that we wear are an important way of expressing ourselves and our identities. Not just a means to keep warm or protect ourselves from the elements. In societies around the world, clothing has become an important form of cultural expression, with garments taking on unique meanings and significance. National costumes and folk dress have developed in many ways, but almost always for the same reason: to create a sense of belonging. Wearing traditional dress demonstrates an affinity to a region, can express pride in a shared heritage, and even be used to communicate one's place in society. Throughout history, regional clothing styles have evolved as materials and production methods modernized, and fashions fell in and out of favor. Learning about traditional clothing and how it is worn today is an excellent way of getting a deeper understanding of a destination and its people. So from the colourful saris of Southeast Asia to the Scottish kilt and my own national dress, the Norwegian bunad, please join us as we take a look at some interesting traditional clothing styles and the history behind them. One of Norway's cultural icons is the bunad, costumes that first flourished during the 19th century national romanticism movement, when Norwegians, in search of a national identity after centuries of Danish rule, thoroughly embraced all things uniquely Norwegian. Art, literature, and the distinctive character of folk attire worn by rural people. Today there are over 200 regional bunads.
There are different bunads for each part of the country. Even each region has their own bunad.
There is an unwritten law that either you have to come from the place where the bunad come from, or your parents or at least your grandparents have some sort of relationship with the area.
Bunads vary greatly from place to place. One factor is the use of local materials. But another major influence came from beyond Norway.
Back a couple of hundred years, we had the traveling merchants coming to the remote valleys here in Norway, from France, from Belgium, from Germany. One guy went up one valley with his suitcase, another guy up another valley with his suitcase. So we can actually link the various types of bunads here in Norway today to various places down in Europe.
While bunads are made for both men and women, the female bunad is more ornate. The intricate designs are specific to the region where the bunad is created, with each detail telling its own story. So the bunad speaks volumes if you know how to read it.
Each type of silver belongs to a specific type of bunad. And when you have a closer look, you can see on the bunad whether the lady is a married person or not yet married.
That task was much easier in centuries past, when the hat or scout made the woman's status clear. The bunad grew into a Norwegian cultural icon thanks to 3 key women. Hulda Garborg, along with Clara Sem, praised the bunad as they strove to preserve local cultures. But it was the 3rd woman, Norway's Queen Maud, who changed everything in 1906. When she received a Hardanger bunad from the women of Odda and began wearing it to official international events. The rest, as they say, is history. Her bunad became known as the Nasjonalen, and Norwegians soon began wearing their bunads to all types of special events. In recent decades, the bunad has grown even more popular, and it's now seen regularly at important occasions. Viking godmother Trude Drevland wore her Bergen bunad when she named the Viking star. Ever since, the bunad has become a bit of a favorite among our godmothers. I also proudly wore mine as godmother of the beautiful Viking Sea. For most events, the bunad is a choice. But there's one day it's a must. On May 17th, Norway's Constitution Day, the bunad is a symbol of patriotism.
You are celebrating your country's freedom. There is the bunad, there is the shirt ironed, there is all the silver laying there, and I feel proud, so proud.
Norwegians treasure their freedom, and the 17th of May is an annual outpouring of joy and appreciation unlike anywhere else. A celebration with the iconic bunad at its heart.
The highlight of wearing a bunad, that is our national day, the 17th of May. You will see thousands and thousands of bunads. We wear it with great pride, proud of our country and the values we have here in Norway.
Norway is a land rich in culture and traditions. I hope you'll go out and explore her many treasures. Discover a collection of Norwegian bunads in the atrium on board our Viking ocean ships. In the far north of Scandinavia, in an area known as Sápmi, the Sami people have lived for thousands of years. In these northern lands, the winters are cold and snowy, while the long summer nights are illuminated by the midnight sun. Defined by their unique culture and language, the Sami people are a distinct indigenous group, descended from nomadic reindeer herders. Today, some of the Sami people continue to make a living this way, following their herds to different grazing pastures throughout the year. The traditional Sami dress, known as the gatki, is a distinctive, brightly coloured garment, which was historically made from reindeer skins. Worn both for work and ceremonial occasions, the gatki's colourful collar and embroidered belt is often worn with a hat and shawl. Leather boots, sometimes with a pointed toe, are designed to keep the feet warm. There are many individual groups within the Sami peoples, and the style of gatki worn will indicate the wearer's homeland, their family and marital status. Wearing their traditional dress demonstrates the Samis' pride in who they are and their unique heritage. Visit a traditional Sami lavu on Viking's 13-day In Search of the Northern Lights ocean journey. Considered by many modern Bavarians as a symbol of regional pride and identity, lederhosen, which translates roughly as leather breeches, were originally created as a practical, hard-wearing item of clothing for farm workers in rural areas. The strength of the leather, which was traditionally made from deer skins, made lederhosen durable and well-suited to carrying out tough manual tasks. They would often be held up by a pair of braces and worn with woolen socks and tough work shoes. Early lederhosen were mainly worn by the working classes, and while they became popular for their practicality, their association with a rural way of life led them to fall out of favour as Germany industrialised in the 19th century and more workers moved to the cities. But today, lederhosen have undergone something of a renaissance, and not just for tourists at Oktoberfest. In fact, it's not unusual to see men in Bavaria wearing their lederhosen for daily activities such as hiking or gardening. Drive through the Bavarian countryside to explore the Austrian town of Scherding on an optional excursion from Passau on Viking's 15-day Grand European Tour river journey. The elegant silk designs of the Japanese kimono are admired throughout the world, and many of the elements have been adopted by Western fashion designers. But to really understand this garment, we need to go back in time. The word kimono can be roughly translated as the thing to wear, and it is thought that the kimono was first introduced to Japan by Chinese envoys during the Tang dynasty. Typically made from a single piece of cloth, the kimono is folded left side over the right and fastened with a wide sash belt, known as an obi. As kimono wearing became increasingly popular during Japan's Edo period, the creation of these garments transformed into a highly skilled craft. One of the most popular motifs seen in kimono design is the crane. This is the bird believed to represent longevity and good fortune. Intricately patterned and beautifully painted kimonos would be considered works of art and were passed down through the generations of a family. In fact, kimonos could be so valuable that some were said to be worth more than the family home. In modern Japan, it is unusual now to see kimonos worn in daily life. The best way to experience them is to marvel at the stunning costumes of the geishas, Japan's traditional cultural performers. Be enchanted by a traditional geisha performance on Viking's 23-day North Pacific Passage ocean journey. A symbol of Vietnamese feminine beauty, the áo dai is an elegant, long tunic worn over trousers, often in striking, contrasting colours, and sometimes featuring delicate embroidery or hand-painted silk designs. It is said that the áo dai originated under the rule of the 18th century prince Nguyen Phuc Khot, a southern ruler who was keen to create a dress style which differentiated his courtiers from those in the north. This early form of the áo dai was thought to be inspired by the traditional dress of the Cham people, and the garments were loose-fitting and practical, designed for comfort rather than style. In the 1930s, during the colonial period, French fashion and dress styles began to influence Vietnamese artists and tailors. A more form-fitting style of áo dai became popular, designed to show off a woman's elegance and shape. The last empress of Vietnam, Hoàng Hậu Nam Phong, was known for proudly wearing her elegant áo dais, and she is credited with their enduring popularity. Today, many women will wear an áo dai for special occasions, and it is also adopted as a uniform for many professions, including teachers and flight attendants. Shopping for an áo dai or visiting one of Vietnam's many expert tailors to admire their work is a very special experience. Discover Vietnam on Viking's 15-day magnificent Mekong journey. Coming in an array of dazzling colours and often adorned with beautiful patterns and paired with ornate jewellery, the sari has been worn by women in South Asia for centuries. Perfectly suited to India's warm climate, with its loose and breathable style, the sari is a form of expression for the wearer, with unique styles in each of the different Indian states. There are said to be over 100 ways to tie a sari, depending on the region, fabric and length. Beautifully intricate designs will be worn for special occasions, such as weddings, with gold threads, beaded jewels, detailed embroidery creating a stunning outfit. Such saris can become heirlooms, passed down through generations. Shopping for a sari in India is a feast for the eyes, with a rainbow of colours and fabrics to choose from. Discover local life in Mumbai on Viking's 21-day Passage to India ocean journey. Dramatic and colourful like the dance itself, the traje de flamenco, or Spanish flamenco dress, is a vision of layers and ruffles designed to express the passionate nature of the dance. With typically bold and bright colours of reds, blacks and blues, the traje de flamenco ensures that all eyes will be drawn to the performer. As they move through the dance, the skirts of the dress swirl and swish, accentuating every movement for maximum effect. The most elaborate dresses, however, can be heavy and stiff, so it's often only the most experienced and skilled dancers who can wear these impressive creations. The style of the traje de flamenco is thought to have originated from the traditional dresses of the Roma people, And as flamenco grew in popularity, the costumes evolved too. Polka dots are a common pattern, and the dress is often finished with a shawl or mantel wrapped around the dancer's shoulders. Another important accessory is the fan or pericon. Fans arrived in Spain in the 15th century, brought over from Asia by Portuguese traders, and soon became an essential item for upper-class women. It's said that ladies of the court used fans to communicate secret messages, the so-called language of the fan. And flamenco dancers adopted the fan too, to accentuate their movements and to help tell their emotive stories through dance. Enjoy a live flamenco performance in Malaga on Viking's 8-day Iberian explorer journey. Think of the dirndl and you might experience young women working in the alpine meadows and mountain farms of southern Germany and Austria. Or of Julie Andrews, dressed for the ball in The Sound of Music. The dirndl, which comes from the Bavarian word for girl, has a long history and has fallen in and out of favour throughout the centuries. Originally the attire of women working the land in rural Bavaria, early dirndls were simple and practical, made from inexpensive cloths in muted colours. Gradually, dirndls became popular as a formal outfit, with a more elaborate coloured version being worn on Sundays. Consisting of a bodice, blouse and skirt and apron, dirndls gathered popularity as the Romantic movement took hold in Europe, with the upper classes choosing to wear dirndls to show their pride in the country. In the 1930s, dirndl wearing was promoted by the Nazis, using the traditional dress to epitomise their ideal of a hard-working and patriotic German woman. But following the end of the Second World War, many stopped wearing their dirndls, wishing to distance themselves from these nationalistic ideas. But in recent times, this universally flattering outfit has found favour again. It's not uncommon to see women in Bavaria wearing dirndls at weddings or other special occasions. And if you do see someone wearing one, look closely, as dirndls can even carry messages. Supposedly, a bow tied to the left means the woman is single, and tied to the right means taken. Explore Bavaria on an e-bike during an optional excursion from Passau on Viking's 8-day romantic Danube river cruise. The tartan kilt is synonymous with Scotland and is interwoven with Scottish history and identity. First worn by Highlanders in the 16th century, the kilt started out as a long cloak-like garment known as a great kilt, which later developed into the smaller kilt worn around the waist. Jacobite soldiers adapted the tartan kilt as their symbol of national pride in their battles against the English. In 1746, the Jacobites were defeated at the Battle of Culloden, and Scotland became part of the United Kingdom. Shortly after, in an attempt to quell the nationalist sentiment, King George II passed the Dress Act, making it illegal to wear traditional Highland dress. The act was later repealed and Scotland entered a period of national romanticism. Celebrated writers such as Robert Burns and Walter Scott, and artists like Jacob Moore and Alexander Nasmyth captured in words and through painting a sense of national pride and a romantic vision of Scotland's landscape and culture. Alongside this movement, the wearing of the kilt became popular once more, firstly amongst landowners and then throughout the population. Today, almost every Scot owns a kilt, and each clan has their own tartan, with over 7,000 different patterns in existence. Kilts are mostly worn for special occasions, such as weddings, but look out for bagpipers in traditional dress as you explore Scotland. Go in pursuit of tartan in the Scottish Highlands on our 15-day British Isles Explorer Ocean Journey. Amid the vibrant landscapes of the tranquil Caribbean, One tradition is sure to catch your eye: batik. Batik is an ancient art form from the Far East and Africa that creatively used natural dyes made from local berries and minerals. This intriguing technique is actually a relative newcomer to the Caribbean, introduced at Caribel Boutique on St. Kitts in 1976, when well-traveled Englishman Maurice Widows wished to share the spirit and character of life on the island.
All of our designs have some derivative from our landscape and our culture. It's basically our story on cotton.
The process of batik begins with an artist who paints on cloth with molten wax. Wax bonds easily with the fabric, forming an impenetrable barrier in the shape of the artist's intended design. This fabric is then immersed in a vat of dye until it's thoroughly infused with the desired color. A rinse sets the dye, then the fabric is dried in the Caribbean breezes. The wax is removed and the process begins anew. These steps must be repeated for each individual color, so complex designs can literally take weeks. Once all colors have been added to the fabric, it's rinsed in boiling water to remove any last traces of the wax. With that, this handmade, one-of-a-kind fabric is ready to be shaped into a wide range of garments.
This batik industry is more than an art form. It sustains life in our communities.
The writer Gabriel Garcia Marquez once said, "Caribbean reality resembles the wildest imagination." And the batik items you'll come across reflect that spirit, while providing a glimpse into the unique cultures and people of the sunny Caribbean. Visit Caribel Batik in St. Kitts on Viking's 11-day West Indies Explorer ocean journey.